I guess I was looking at the clock in the kitchen and it was different. I thought I had more time. Sorry about that, y'all. Well, welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Fayetteville. I'm Joanna Person-Mitchner, and I'm the current committee lead for the Green Sanctuary Program and the Leadership Development Committee. UUism is a religious tradition that values freedom in religious thought and our own personal spiritual journeys. We uphold the unity of our interconnectedness, connections to each other, to all of life, and to this precious universe of which we are all a part. We affirm the universality of love and hope as we journey together in community, and we welcome all of you, whoever you are, on your own journey in this moment. And for those of you that are joining us online, we welcome you too. And if you're new, feel free to check out our website. There's a lot of great information on there. And you should have a visitor information card in the seat back in front of you. If you want to fill that out and share it with us if you haven't already, then you can join our e-newsletter, which is really informative and comes out weekly about everything that is going on around here that you might want to get involved in. And later in the service, we have a time when we like to share our joys and our concerns and our milestones with one another as a way of connection and to give each other encouragement and support and to celebrate the good stuff together. So if you have a joy or a concern or a milestone that you'd like to share with all of us, we invite you to fill out a yellow card that's also should be in the seat back in front of you. And you don't have to share them. You know, you can just share them with ministerial staff if that's what you choose to do. But just kind of designate that there on the card. There's a place for that. And if you are on Facebook and you want to share a joy or concern, we can't keep those confidential. There's just not a way to do that. So also, if you need any assistance with hearing devices and that sort of thing, David is over here and is our high-tech leader, and we'll be happy to help you with that. Also in UU services, children are always welcome of all ages, but just so you know, we do have a staffed nursery in case you would prefer to use the nursery. We also have from 10 to 11, we have children's religious exploration services, as well as youth religious exploration, and a mindful discussions group for grown-ups, which is pretty cool. And if you haven't already, please silence your cell phones. I'm super excited because we get to hear from Marty Fatak today, and I always love to hear Marty's messages. And he's going to talk about a book I haven't read, so I'm curious and interested about that. And you might notice that on the order of service, Leanda Gavin is on there for the things that I'm doing in the service today, and that's just because she's okay, but she just wasn't feeling well. So is someone from the Armendariz family going to come and light our chalice? All right, awesome.
Please join us in lighting the chalice. Love is the spirit of this community, and service is its prayer, to dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and truth, and to help one another. Thus do we covenant together.
Welcome, everybody. I'm glad you're here. I'm Marty Fatak. And I just had a question. Have you ever driven along the Amalfi Coast in Italy? One of us. Okay. Two. Okay. I've never driven, but you probably have seen pictures of it. The Amalfi Coast is an area right along the edge of Italy, built on the side of cliffs, with houses all seemingly stacked on top of each other. If you ever see the pictures, it's like one after another, just going up. I've never been a driver, but I've been a rider recently and spent 4 days being driven along the coast with some others and by some very good drivers. This is what it's like. There are two narrow lanes. There are narrow shoulders. There's a rock wall on one side and sheer cliff on the other. And not much room. Okay? If a shoulder is wide enough for a car, there's going to be one parked there. They don't have any place else to park. Okay? There are so many twists and turns, it makes our pig trail look like a superhighway. Many of the curves are blind curves, where you're going into them and you can't see who's coming the other way. Small motorcycles are darting in and out between the lanes. People are pulling part way off the road to take pictures, and tourist buses are coming around the corner, taking up 2 lanes, okay? And you never know, you never know. There are few lights and few stop signs. I'm sure there are accidents, but I didn't see any. And I'm sure drivers lose their tempers, but I didn't see any of that either. What I did see was drivers showing respect for each other. They take turns. They take their time. They accept that each of them has a right to be on that road and the right to be going wherever they are going. They assume that the other drivers are driving with all the same skill and integrity that they have. This is a lot different from what I see when I drive, and this is different from what I see in general. Many people believe that we are enmeshed in a culture of disrespect. We're not caring about the feelings of others, and focusing only on our own needs has become the norm. We are lied to blatantly and repeatedly by those who are supposed to be our leaders. Don't believe what you say, what you see. Our teachers are told what they can teach, what they can't teach, what their students can read, and what they can't read. Our voting rights are being limited by gerrymandering, which, let's face it, is basically cheating. Our access to jobs and food and health care is being made less secure. The levels of hypocrisy and corruption in our government are shameful, and we don't know which news is accurate and which is biased. At its fundamental core, respect for others means treating them as if they matter. We are being treated as if we don't matter, as if what we know is right doesn't matter, as if our ability to direct our own lives and make our own choices doesn't matter. We know what happens when this occurs. People get angry. People get depressed. People take it out on others and themselves in all kinds of ways. But what if we were treated differently? What if someone listened to us deeply and cared about what we were saying? What if someone saw the good inside? What if someone helped us when we were unable to help ourselves? What would life be like then? Today we're going to talk about someone who did just that and what happened.
Our opening hymn this morning is number 354 in your gray hymnal called We Laugh, We Cry. You can find the words and the music in your hymnal, and the words will also be on the screens up here. I hope that you take as much meaning from this song as I usually do. If you will rise with us and body your spirit as you're willing and able, we will sing together.
We need to
have time for all ages. Today is The Invisible Boy by Trudy Ludwig, illustrated by Patrice Barton. Can you see Brian, the invisible boy? Even Mrs. Carlotti has trouble noticing him in her classroom. She's too busy dealing with Nathan and Sophie. Nathan has problems with what Mrs. Carlotti calls volume control. He uses his outside voice inside too much. Sophie whines and complains when she doesn't get her way. Nathan and Sophie take up a lot of space. Brian doesn't. When the bell rings for recess, Micah and JT take turns choosing kids for their kickball teams. The best players get picked first. Then the best friends of the best players. Then the friends of the best friends. Only Brian is left, still waiting and hoping. JT glances in Brian's direction and just as quickly looks away. We've got enough players for each team, he tells the others. Let's play ball. In the cafeteria, Madison and her friends talk about her birthday party. The rope swing over the pool was awesome, says JT. Yeah, so was the water slide, says Fiona. Now, that was the best pool party ever. I'm so glad you guys had fun, says Madison. Everybody did, except Brian. He wasn't invited. At choosing time, while the other kids play board games and read, Brian sits at his table doing what he loves to do best. He draws fire-breathing dragons scaling tall buildings. I love that. Thank you for toasting my marshmallow. I got you now, says the alien. Space aliens locked in intergalactic battles, greedy pirates digging for treasure, and superheroes with the power to make friends wherever they go. Hi, friend, have a cookie. I can't do a pirate, so. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, appreciate that. Yeah, I knew somebody would be able to. On Monday morning, Mrs. Carlotti introduces Justin, a new student, to the class. Brian smiles shyly at him. Some of the other kids sneak looks at Justin, trying to figure out if he's cool enough to be their friend. They haven't quite made up their minds yet. At lunch, Madison and JT watch Justin eat with chopsticks. What's that? Asks Madison as she points at Justin's food. It's bulgogi. Well, what? Bulgogi. It's Korean barbecued beef. My grandma made it for me. It's really good. Do you want to try some? There's no way I'd eat bulgogi. And the kids laugh. All of them. That is, except Brian. He sits there wondering which is worse, being laughed at or feeling invisible. The next day, when Justin goes to his cubby to put away his backpack, he notices a piece of paper with his name on it. Justin, I thought the bulgogi looked good. Brian, yum. Check out that picture. At morning recess, Brian finds a piece of chalk on the ground and starts drawing away. You're Brian, right? Yeah. Thanks for the note. Hey, Justin, Emilio calls out from the tetherball court. You're up next. Sorry, I gotta go, says Justin. By the way, that's a really cool drawing, he adds before taking off. Back in class, Mrs. Colati asks the kids to team up in 2s or 3s for a special project. The kids scurry around the room to pair off. Brian heads toward Justin. I'm already with Justin, says Emilio. Find someone else. Brian looks at the floor, wishing that he could draw a hole right there to swallow him up. Mrs. Colati said that we can have up to 3 people in our group. We're only 2. Come on, Emilio, let him work with us. Okay, I guess. Mrs. Colati gives the class directions for the project. Your assignment is to work together to write a story about what you see in that photograph. Use your imagination and have fun. Whoa, cool, says Emilio. What kind of people do you think would live in houses like that? I don't know, but I bet Brian could draw them to go with our story, says Justin. Brian smiles as he takes out his lucky pen. The crooked story we made up on the spot. Check it out. Narrator. Hi, I'm the narrator, and if you're wondering why a pirate got the part of a narrator, I'll tell you. It's all in the agent. Well, now, on with the tale. It's lunchtime again. Brian's least favorite part of day. Another 20 long minutes of kids talking and laughing with everyone else but him. Brian, he hears someone shout. Hey, Brian, over here. Brian turns and sees Justin waving him over. Emilio nods at Brian as he makes room for him at the table. Cookie? Thanks. Maybe, just maybe, Brian's not so invisible after all. Did y'all like it? Yeah. Who here has ever been Brian? Quite a few of us. How about that? Okay, so, we're going to have our joys and concerns and milestone time now, and that also entails dropping some stones in some water up here. It's one of our rituals, and that can symbolize whatever you want it to. And this is also a time to bring up your joys, concerns, and milestones card if you want to, and you can hand them to me. And Marty is going to pass out the stones to you when you come up. So we kind of already talked about why we do this. It has to do with our sharing with one another and deepening our connections with one another, celebrating with one another, and also just, being there to support each other through difficult times. And you can come up now if you want to. like all of the joys and concerns are shareable today. So, okay. So do we have any joys on Facebook or concerns? Not today? Okay. So we want to take a moment to drop some stones for joys and concerns that we didn't feel like sharing, that are on our hearts. And drop some more stones, or a stone, for joys and concerns that we may experience in the coming week. And then why don't we just take about a minute of silence and spend that time the way that feels best for you in meditation. You can take a big deep breath and a slow exhale. That's my favorite. Focus on what was shared and what's on your heart. And just invite you back to the group whenever you're ready. Isn't that nice for our nervous systems? Maybe even for our souls. We'll move into our time of offering. Every week we receive an offering in our fellowship to support the congregation and the work that we do in this community and in the broader community, and for the support of others. We need support for the day-to-day necessary running of the fellowship, and some of us need to make an offering not only because the fellowship needs our support, but because we need to remind ourselves of our own generosity. The act of giving something away is a tangible way of acknowledging the gifts that we have been given. If we don't have enough for ourselves, sometimes we don't. And that's how it goes. Life has its ups and downs. But when we don't have enough to share in other ways, because, in our fellowship we talk a lot about sharing our time, our treasure, and our talent. So there's so many different ways to give. But none of us should leave today, feeling poor of spirit, or hopefully your spirit has at least been elevated by being here with others. So let's go ahead and take up our offering in the spirit of generosity and love. And feel free to put in those cards, for if you're a visitor and you'd like to be on the e-news list, then this is a time to do that as well.
You're down in trouble. close your eyes and think of me, and soon I will be there to brighten up even your darkest night. You just call out my name, and you know wherever I am, I'll come running to see you again. Winter, spring, summer, or fall, all you have to do is call, and I'll be there. You've got a friend. If the sky above you should grow dark and full of clouds, and that old north wind begins to blow, keep your head together and call my name out loud. Soon you'll hear me knocking at your door. You just call out my name, and you know wherever I am, I'll come running, yeah, to see you again. Winter, spring, summer, or fall, all you have to do is call, and I'll be there, yes I will. Now ain't it good to know that you've got a friend, when people can be so cold? They'll hurt you, yes, and desert you, and take your soul if you let them. Oh, but don't you let them. You just call out my name, and you know wherever I am, I'll come running, yeah, to see you again. Winter, spring, summer, or fall, all you have to do is call, and I'll be there. You've got a friend. You've got a friend. Ain't it good to know you've got a friend? Ain't it good to know? Ain't it good to know? Ain't it good to know you've got a friend?
Thank you very much, Oliver. That's the perfect Theo song. It all is included right there. So. What makes you cry? I cry now more than I used to. Maybe my hold it in button is broken, or weaker, or maybe there's just more to cry about. I cry when people on America's Got Talent show some ability that surprises the judges, surprises the audience, surprises the people that knew them, because they never expected that. I cry when I see videos of soldiers returning home to surprise their families. I cry watching President Obama singing Amazing Grace spontaneously at a funeral. I cry when I read the Miller Williams poem, imagining what his granddaughter will be like long after he dies. And I cry when I read Theo of Golden. The publication is a surprise. Alan Levy, you could put the cover on. Yeah. Alan Levy, self-published. He put it on the internet himself. And it was so popular that then a publisher took over and cleaned it up a little bit and put it out. Okay? It's the first book he's ever written, and he's working on another one, a follow-up. The story itself is pretty straightforward. Theo, an educated, well-to-do, 86-year-old man who grew up in Portugal, then lived in several cities in Europe before retiring to New York City, comes to Golden, Georgia, a small town not far from Atlanta, in the springtime. As he is looking around the city, he finds a coffee shop suggestively called The Chalice, and walks in to find the walls covered with portraits, 92 of them, all done in pencil on white paper, all by the same artist, with a wide range of ages and races and expressions on their faces. He's drawn to the portraits. He studies them intently. He asks the barista, who also happens to be the owner of the coffee shop, about them, and finds out all the portraits are of local residents, and all of them are for sale. Theo decides to buy them and give them to the people they portray. He feels they should be in their hands and not on the walls of a coffee shop. He wants to give out the pictures one at a time, personally, one-on-one. He writes letters to each person inviting him or her to meet with him. This is the first letter that he wrote. Dear Mrs. Prentice, we have never met, and I hope you will forgive me if it is inappropriate for a total stranger to approach you in this manner. I am an old man, 86 to be precise, and a newcomer to your town. I first saw you, actually a pencil drawing of you, when I was at the Chalice on the promenade a few days ago. As I studied your portrait, Mrs. Prentice, I had a strong sense that it belonged in your possession or in the possession of someone dear to you. After all, it only seems right that the finished work should go to the one who inspired it. And so I took the liberty of purchasing the piece with one purpose in mind. I would deem it an honor, and it would be a great kindness to me if you would accept the portrait as a gift, to do with as you please. Might I make a proposal? And I do so beg your pardon if this is entirely out of line. Next week, on Thursday, at 7 o'clock in the evening, I will be sitting on a bench beside the fountain in the median nearest the chalice, to make myself obvious in case there are multiple exquisitely handsome 86-year-old men sitting there at the same time. I will be wearing a heather green flat cap. It should only take a moment to give you the portrait, though I will have plenty of time to visit should you be inclined and able to do so. Lest you find this all very odd and out of sorts, let me assure you that I am a harmless old man, a widower, a father, a toothless lion with only innocent intentions. If, as it has been said, it is more blessed to give than to receive, my happiness in putting the picture in your hands will be more than adequate recompense for my purchase. I look forward to meeting you. With kindest regards, Theo. This is the way it started, and many other letters followed. Most of the recipients knew their pictures had been displayed, but neither could afford them or were waiting for some special time. Not surprisingly, most of the people who received his letters were suspicious. What did he want in return? What was the catch? A few arrived at the meeting place early and spent time watching him to assess his motives. Others brought family members to sit nearby to make sure it was safe. But what people found amazed them. Here was a person who seemed genuinely interested in them, in their stories, in their feelings. He allowed them to talk as much or as little as they wanted. He told them what he saw in their pictures, their strengths, but also underlying feelings of sadness or loss. He described them as special, wise, kind, strong, brave, a blessing to others. They soon recognized that Theo was different from other people in their lives, other people who always wanted something from them. They were touched. They opened up, revealed things that they had never told others, and walked away feeling differently about themselves. This happened over and over with the people and their portraits. There are some other developments and subplots to the story, and more in-depth contact with some of the characters, but it is generally a simple story. What is it that I liked so much about it? What touched me? For one, it is simple, and there are times when I need simple. Life now is not simple. The news is like so many books I read and movies I watch, requiring effort to keep up, making lists of characters, and so many twists and turns in the plot that it wears me out. A simple story can be a blessing. And it is slow. The book is slow. Theo takes his time. He's in no hurry. He walks most places, and he notices things. Colors, music, the songs of birds, the habits of people he sees on his walks. He could deliver the portraits all at once or by mail, but he deliberately chooses the less efficient, personal handoff. He has a daily ritual of watching the skies above moving water, in this case, a river that runs through the town, from 15 minutes before sunset until seeing the first star at dusk. He appreciates meals and conversations that slowly unfold. For most of the book, the worst person in the book is the one who answers his cell phone at the dinner table. I liked the sharp contrast between Theo and people currently in the news. Theo is humble. He doesn't want applause or awards. He does not desire to hurt or belittle people, whatever their station, or however they treat him. He is not corrupt. He is not focused on what he can gain from this situation. He follows what I grew up believing are Christian values. Treat others the way you want to be treated. Take care of those who need help. Seek peace. Recognize that we all come from the same place and struggle with the same struggles. Theo is a Unitarian Universalist Jesus. That's my opinion. Theo conveyed in everything he did that people mattered. He looked at them in the eyes. He listened to them with respect. And he allowed each person to erase the picture they had in their heads of themselves and to see themselves literally as a work of art. How important is it to feel that we matter? While I was reading Theo of Golden, I was also reading The Mattering Instinct. What Theo is to your heart, the mattering instinct is to your head. It's written by a philosophy professor. Rebecca Neuberger Goldstein argues that feeling you matter isn't just something nice, icing on the cake, a way to feel good when all your other needs are met. It is a drive built into us, essential for surviving and thriving. Mattering means deserving of attention, not just getting attention. Many celebrities and even criminals get attention, but actually deserving the attention we receive. I have to deserve it before I will feel I matter. The first requirement to mattering is to matter to ourselves so that we can take care of ourselves. You won't make an effort to feed yourself or take care of your needs if you don't matter. I once had a 10-year-old client who had been in a car accident that left one arm paralyzed. He was abusive to that arm. He cut it, he burned it, he dropped rocks on it, because that arm didn't matter. We had to teach him that that arm did. When depressed people say they don't matter, it can be a red flag for suicide. We need to feel that we deserve our own care and attention. And it isn't just someone saying that you matter. We want objective, verifiable proof that we matter, which requires what Goldstein calls a mattering project. It's an active, engaging, concrete demonstration of our core values. One way to prove to ourselves that we matter is through achievement, attaining some specific goal that is important to the person choosing it. It can be something relatively small, or it can be as large as completing a marathon. Another way to prove to ourselves that we matter is through competition, proving that somehow either we or teams that we belong on are better than others. To matter requires winning, sometimes at any cost, which can have a negative effect on those trampled along the way. Our current leaders have decided that winning over others is the way to prove that we matter. A third way to prove to ourselves that we matter is through connection to a higher power. If I sacrifice and do what God wants, then God will love me, and then I will matter. But the way Theo and most of us prove to ourselves that we matter is through our connection to others. We want to build and sustain caring relationships. We want feedback that we matter to our parents, friends, partners, and children. The fastest way to feel that you matter is to show others that they matter. This mattering project through relationships is more sustainable than mattering because of achievement, competition, or sacrifice to a higher power. What were the things that Theo did to show others that they mattered? He accepted people for who they were without judgment. He made them feel that they belonged. He made them feel safe, physically and emotionally. He gave them his full attention. He validated them. He treated them as trustworthy and honest. He believed that their thoughts mattered. He encouraged them to act independently. He allowed them to take responsibility for their actions. And in all of this, there was love. Theo said, for anything to be good, truly good, there must be love in it. Nothing is what it's supposed to be if love is not at the core. Love requires respect. Disrespect erases love. The disrespect we face daily robs us of love and reduces our sense of mattering. What happened when Theo made people feel that they mattered? They blossomed. They started treating each other differently. Word got around and people started working together, supporting each other, and celebrating each other. They were able to acknowledge their unmet needs and able to pay forward the kindness and optimism that Theo showed them. They brought forth the talents that had kept hidden for so long. They became different people. We must recognize that we are more likely to treat people with respect when they treat us with respect. When they are kind, we are kind. When they act like we matter, we act like they matter. But when we are treated with disrespect, with criticism and lies and control and hypocrisy, it is much, much harder to be respectful. When a whole culture is treated with disrespect, it is much, much harder to work together, support each other, celebrate wins, and be our best selves. That's where we find ourselves, faced with a hard but not impossible task. Let us respond by choosing to be more like Theo, listening, accepting, validating, and connecting. Let us rise above how we are treated, gather our strength, and work to value who we are and what we can do, one at a time, over and over, just like Theo did. Let us appreciate these small kindnesses, help others, and remind others that they matter. Thank you.
You all know this one. So please stand as you're willing and able. Let's sing together. Feel free to move a little bit if you want to, okay? Sometimes in our lives, we all have pain, we all have sorrow, but if we are wise, we know that there's always tomorrow. Lean on me when you're not strong. I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long. I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. Please swallow your pride if you have things maybe tomorrow, for no one can fill all of your needs that you won't let show. Lean on me when you're not strong. I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long. I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. If there is a load you have to bear that you can't carry, right up the road, I'll share your load. If you just call me, lean on me when you're not strong. I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long. I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. Call on me, brother, when you need a hand. We all need somebody to lean on. I just might have a problem that you understand. We all need somebody to lean on. Lean on me when you're not strong. I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long. I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. Yay! Thank you.
Please join us in extinguishing the chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of dominion. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
We are so political here. So here's my quote from Governor J.B. Pritzker, the governor of Illinois, who in a recent commencement address said, "If you want to be successful in this world, you have to develop your own idiot detection system." The best way to spot an idiot? Look for the person who is cruel. The kindest person in the room is often the smartest. By this measure, Theo was everything about being smart. Here's the bottom line. Our entire mission in life is to matter. It is up to us to choose the way we put that drive to use. We can choose to be competitive, to view winning as the only indicator of mattering, or we can choose to be kind, to show up for people, to give when no one is watching, to pay attention to pain, to relieve fears. Creating kindness and caring in others through example, as Theo did, is my mattering project. It is how I want to be remembered and how I hope to show that I mattered. Thank you very much.